Good evening, New York City, from your favorite radio station, 101.9 KEHS. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Dory.
Say, Dory, did you hear about that Charles Lindbergh's transatlantic flight from New York to Paris?
Absolutely. Apparently that big-timer Lindbergh flew that aircraft in 33 and a half hours. Isn't that right?
Now you're on the trolley. It's amazing to hear that he flew that plane, the Spirit of St. Louis, for that long. I think he's a madman for risking his life like that.
Risking his life? He ain't risking no life.
He flew for almost 34 hours, no sleep included, mind you, and he could have gotten lost.
Maybe he could have gotten a tad lost, but not as lost as the Lost Generation.
Please tell me more about this Lost Generation.
Haven't you ever heard of the famous writers such as Hemingway and Cowley? These writers and others have helped reveal the hardship of the battlefield during World War I.
That doesn't sound like hooey to me.
You're right about that. You should really read Hemingway's A Farewell to Arms. I'm reading it right now, and it's definitely not hookin'.
Sounds good. How long is the book, though?
Long, but not nearly as long as the lines outside the Yankee Stadium. Ever since the end of that war, everyone has been blowing all their dough just to get a seat in the stands.
No doubt about it. After all, baseball is America's pastime, but I feel like the one the crowds have been most eager to see is Babe Ruth.
Of course. He's the cat's pajamas of that Yankee squad.
I'm telling you, baseball has really raked in a lot of kale.
Not to mention all the other popular sports. I'm telling you, those roaring 20s really boomed the sports industry.
And how?
I'm glad to hear you agree. Do you also agree with the flapper movement?
I do agree. I think it's great to see those women step out of the house and act as independent people.
Me too. And it's awesome that women obtain the right to vote. Now I have a say in society.
Atta girl. Speaking of having a say, you've heard about President Harding and all the scandals, right?
You mean the ones involving the Navy oil base? That's the Teapot Dome scandal, right?
Yes, I believe it was done by a group of Harding's own friends, the Iowa gang, I believe.
It was the Ohio gang, you dumb Dora.
Oh, please. Now tell me more about this oil base. I didn't really get to hear much about it, but it seems really tasty to me.
Well, the oil base is located in Wyoming. And to sum up the scandal, one of Harding's officials from the Ohio gang secretly leased out the land while receiving bribes.
Well, those friends of Harding's are certainly not the bee's knees.
You're right about that, Daddy-O. And I'd love to talk with you more about this, but we gotta get a wiggle on because it's time to hear a word from our sponsor. Is Robert tired of walking to work every day? Is Mary tired to walk to every store every time that there's a family need? Is little Johnny absolutely through with walking countless miles to get to school? Well then have no fear, because Henry Ford's Model T is here. Not only is this car durable with parts crafted by the mechanical genius himself, Henry Ford, but this Model T is also more affordable than ever before. Instead of breaking out $950, you can unite with your Model T for less than $300. Credit accepted. How could anyone say no to this amazing new darn? So Robert, Mary, even Johnny, say goodbye to walking and come down to the Ford plant today to pick up your new own Model T. Hello again, New York City. I hope you didn't run off to buy your Model T, because we are back.
Yes, we are. And speaking of running off, I might want to run off that Model T. Sure looks like the Mazuma.
You're right about that. It's a terrific price. Completely worth the dough. Plus, now that I have my Model T, I can drive to work. I don't need to live in the expensive city anymore.
Where do you live now?
Didn't you know? I live in the suburbs.
Suburbs, huh? How did those even develop?
Well, when the war ended, many returning veterans in search of homes decided to settle there. And when the Model T came out, the suburbs expanded even more because people like me could drive and don't have to live in walking distance to their workplace.
Wow, that sounds swell. I'm tired of walking too. I think I might go buy a Model T after this broadcast.
Attaboy. Trust me, you won't be disappointed.
Speaking of disappointment, our time is just about up.
Oh, for crying out loud, I forgot. Well, thanks for tuning in, folks.
And be sure to listen in tomorrow. We'll be uncovering the highlights of the Sacco and Vanzetti trial.
That's right. You don't want to miss it.
Well, New York City, this is Ryan and Dory signing off from your favorite station, 101.9 KEHS. Have a good night, and we'll be back tomorrow.